Let me just go ahead and record. Awesome. So we are recording. I'm Brittany. I'm with the College Connection Center. We will be doing another live webinar today, and you guys won't have to listen to me again, so that's exciting. You guys will have a guest presenter. So I will introduce him and let him get started. Let me give him the opportunity to share, because I always forget that. And then we will jump right in on getting to know your campus. All right, so this is Justin Light. He is from the, I want to make sure I say it right, Center of Academic and Scholarship Excellence?
You're really close. Not quite there. We are the Center for Academic Success and Excellence.
Perfect. So he's from the University of Missouri-Columbia, and today he's going to share with you some things about getting to know your campus, getting involved, campus resources, and all that good stuff. So with that, I will let him go ahead and jump right in.
Cool. Thank you so much, Brittany. Thanks for checking us out. I hope to deliver some good information today. I tend to speak pretty quickly, so I want to hammer out some information that hopefully all of you can use and access and be able to utilize inside your opportunities at campus. So I will go ahead and pull up my screen. Again, my name is Justin. I am fortunate enough to work for the Center for Academic Success and Excellence at Mizzou. So our office gets to handle a lot of different issues regarding student success. And I am fortunate enough to be in a position where I get to oversee a summer program. So I get to host students on campus, not quite this summer, but most summers get to host students on campus so that we can get to know them and start building some strengths. Today, we're going to be talking about getting to know your campus a little bit. So I will talk about things at Mizzou and some things that I really like about our institution. And then hopefully those translate to your campus and your ability to get involved there. So kind of at the core of this, there are a couple things I want you to take away from today, but getting to know your campus is simply about maximizing your experience. I tell students this all the time. College is such a fun situation because it is one of the first opportunities that you will have to make sure that you are taking control of your future. I really love that about the students that I get to work with, to see those moments where they start maximizing their experience and they say, you know, you've been in this system and a lot of people have told you what to do for years and years, but you're stepping out of that. And you need to be prepared for that as you're moving into college. I'm sure some of the other discussions about tips about being successful and accessing and choosing a major are going to be things that you now get to do on your own. And that's a really exciting thing. You don't have to be great at it all the time, so let me say that. But every now and again during your experience, you need to be stepping into what you really care about and what's going to mean something for your future. Okay. And as you're stepping into college, you need to understand that campuses are filled with opportunities, and we want you to take advantage of those things. For some of you, it's only going to be 4 years, maybe even less if you're transferring in credits. So you really only have a short window to make sure that you are getting the most out of your opportunities. For others of you, if you start chasing down master's or potentially PhD programs, or even move through professional programs like getting your law degree, getting a JD, or even going on to med school, you will be in college for quite a while, but understand that you need to be maximizing your opportunities all the way through. So understanding that today, I want you to make sure that you are understanding that your campus is filled with lots of opportunities, and I want you to be in a place where you can maximize those things, okay? So the first thing we want to talk about is building a network, right? Throughout the course of your high school career and maybe even before, so if we talk about elementary and potentially middle school opportunities, you got to know people around you, and you got to know that those people around you could help you in lots of different ways, okay? The same thing is going to ring true in college. It is really unfortunate that you haven't had the years to build up a really solid network or a really solid friend group. You're going to have to do it in a very short amount of time, but that's okay. Everybody else is in the same position as well. So everybody is going to be new to your campus and new to your opportunities. So understand that you're in the same place. And if you can do that, then you can move into a place where you can build people around you who are really good for you. Okay. So the advantages of building a solid network of people on your campus is that everything gets expedited. This is what I tell my students every summer, is that college is about learning, but it's also about learning quickly, right? So whatever your college experience is and whatever you want it to be, it probably includes things like having free time with your friends, exploring whatever potential new town that you might be in, making sure that you just have free time for yourself, all of that kind of stuff. So you can only do that if you take care of the academic side. So having a network of people who are on your side and maybe who are in classes with you, make sure that you get answers really quickly. And quick answers means more time on your own, okay? And more time where you can do the things that you want to do. So we need to make sure that we're utilizing who you know around you and who you are putting around you to make sure that you can get answers quickly, okay? That's why a network becomes incredibly important. And if you ever get in a situation where you get stuck, whether that be choosing a new major, whether that be just stuck in a class, doing homework, studying for an exam that's coming up, having people around you who are with you and in similar places means that you could bounce ideas off of them. Down the road, we will talk about some people around you who are not academically related who you can use to ask questions of. This is why mentoring becomes a really big part of the college experience. Lots and lots of colleges have tons of mentoring programs that they want you to engage with because they feel like it can accelerate your learning and accelerate your experience to things, right? So what needs to happen is you need to be in a place where you can recognize that that's a good thing and it can be something that you want to be a part of. So getting there may take you a minute, but if you're willing to do things like mentoring, it is building your network and utilizing those people around you to make sure that you can answer things really quickly. And that if you ever get stuck, if you just feel like you're in a place of frustration, you can have people around you who you can bounce ideas off of or just vent to that become really involved in your life. So that's a really good thing. It's also why you need to be building people around you, because the problems that you will have in college are probably going to be related to college. And having people around you who can help you go through and answer those problems about college that have been there, who have experienced some of the similar things, those people can be very, very valuable. And it means that you're getting the answers you need really fast. And again, at the end of it, at the core of everything we're going to talk about today, it comes down to, do you want to own your experience? And if you do, you will start to build people around you who can really help you get places faster and who can maximize your experience on your college campus, okay? So building a network becomes really important. As a little backstory, I am a huge introvert. I am an only child. I'm very used to being on my own and doing things on my own. So building a network was really, really hard for me. And I was terrible at it in college. I used college as like the next step past high school. And that's not what this should look like. So use college as a way to set up all of the really good things that are happening to you and all of the really good things you want 10 and 20 years from now. Okay. If you can do that and you can treat college as something that is very valuable in your life, you can maximize your 20s, which is super important. So you will set up basically everything for the rest of your life in your 20s. And that's a really exciting thing. And you can make sure that your college experience is a really positive one, because you will be building people around you who can do good things for you and who you can share really wonderful experiences with. And even as an introvert, I can still do that. I have to build introvert time. So I can be an extrovert for 10 or 20 minutes, but that means that later in my day, I may need time to say, hey, I kind of need to push the world away. I need to be on my own. And that will help me be an extrovert. Okay. So I promise you, regardless of what you're like as a person, whatever potential social anxiety you might have, that you can navigate around things as long as you build some insulation for yourself. Okay. So I promise that you can do that and you can make that work. So we always start, or I always start in any discussion that I have about your academics. Academics have to come first. There's just no two ways around it. Regardless of whatever positive social experiences you have in college or whatever positive just general experiences you have in college, if you don't take care of the academics, you won't get to be there forever. Okay, so we need to make sure that your academics are taken care of first and foremost. And that means that you should surround yourself with people who want to do well academically, right? College is a really, really great reset for whatever your life is going to be. One of my favorite students who we had in my summer program a few years ago barely made it into Mizzou. So his test scores were okay. His GPA was not great. He just barely made it in. But when he started my program in the summer, he just made a decision that he didn't want to be the person who barely makes it in anymore. So he dedicated his life to making sure that the academics were in place and making sure that he was the smart kid in the room. And that's what he cared about. And that summer, he worked really, really hard. He did a great job getting to know our instructors and asking lots and lots of questions of them. And he currently has a 3.97, I think, here at Mizzou. So I think he has a couple A minuses, but that's it. So whatever your previous instruction or whatever your previous academic beliefs have been built on, they don't have to stay that way. You can be a brand new person in college. And if you want to be the smartest person in the room, and you want to be the hardest worker, and you want to have a 4.0 GPA in college, you can definitely make that happen. But that means that you need to be building people on your side. And first and foremost has to be your academic advisor. Okay? So, and I think you have heard about academic advisors previously. So the role of them is to help make sure that you are on your path and you are navigating the university system as you should. Okay? So they can tell you, take this class or take that class, and it makes sure that you are on track. That ties into your financial aid. So some scholarships that you may have at your university may only be 4 years long. Okay, so if financial aid becomes very, very important to you, then so do the academics, right? Because we need to make sure that you are engaging in them to the point where you're not going to have extra semesters, you're not going to be sticking around for a fifth or a sixth year when you may not have the money to do so, right? So if financial aid becomes something that is super important, understand how long that occurs and how that plays into your academic experience. And having an academic advisor on your side makes everything else really easy, right? They can tell you like, okay, well, we need to pick up a class here. Maybe we need to take one summer class here or there. And they can help you make some of those decisions and make sure that you're on track academically. I think that they are a wonderful group of people on my campus. I get to interact with a bunch of them, and they have always been in service to students. So I guarantee you can form a really positive relationship with your academic advisor, and they can be someone that you can really count on your campus to make sure that they're kind of looking out for you. And sometimes if you just want to go hang out in their office and talk to them about how your day is going, they can do that too. So they can be someone who is really, really on your side. So first and foremost, know who they are and then figure out how they can help you, okay? And secondly, look for instructors. You will have instructors who you really like. You will have some that you will not like, but I promise you, if you care about the subject material and you can tell an instructor that you care about their class, they will absolutely be on your side, okay? And how that then comes down the line, or how that looks at the University of Missouri, where I'm at, is that almost all of our instructors do research of some kind. It's not limited to science-only fields. So we have a lot of students who jump in early psychology classes who also have research going on. And students can get paid to be a part of those research studies. And so it's really advantageous to talk to your instructors about not only what's going on in class and how they can help you get an A in that class, but also how they can kind of employ you or how they can help you along your process. So look for instructors who you really like, and don't be afraid to walk into office hours. Don't be afraid to be the person who asks a lot of questions, because the people who ask questions get A's in classes, and that is something that you certainly need. So look for them and look for people that you really connect with as far as instructors are concerned, to make sure that you're engaging with them and the other possible opportunities that they have across campus. You don't have to know all your instructors really well, but get to know a few of them so that you can just ask them what's going on and what they see and any potential opportunities they may have for you, okay? Also, as we talk about getting into your program, so at Mizzou, it is generally somewhere in the second or third year that you're around. You will probably apply to a program, and then you will get accepted. So then you will be on track to get your major and graduate with that specific degree. And when that happens, start looking around. So as you start to get early in your program, you will see a lot of the same faces, okay? And as you're moving into classes with these people, and as you're getting to know them a little better, just ask them like, hey, so I see you often, we've shared this class or that class. What do you think? What do you think about this instructor? Have you taken this other class that I'm thinking about taking next semester? How do we make sure that we're working together so that we can answer some of the questions pretty quickly? I promise you that you will get familiar faces, especially once you get in your program. And just go up to those people and introduce yourself and be like, hey, I've seen you a couple of times across campus. I think we may be like sharing the same road. Let's talk about this, right? So then you have someone who you can take classes with. So the enrollment is not as scary. Day one in that next class is not as bad because you know somebody who's going to be in there. So make sure that you're attacking these things together, and it automatically builds in somebody that you can study with and spend time with. And that's a really important part too. One of the highest things as far as retention of information that we have ever seen is teaching other people concepts. And in class, you will be presented with lots of concepts. If you have someone to study with and you can help teach them, you will retain that information much better. And so using those things and using these opportunities to build in study groups or just have somebody repetitive who you can talk to is a really great thing. So build them into your network, because you will definitely see them, and hopefully they will be kind of on the same path that you're on. And then you can even start sharing things like, where have you applied for internships at? Where are you looking for potential jobs from? And then you can use those resources too, because maybe you haven't engaged in some of the things that they have. So those are people academically who you should be engaging with pretty often, okay? Moving forward, you will also have people like me. So I am what's called student support, and my job is to make sure that students are doing okay. So I get to help students out who have specific scholarships. So my job sometimes is to pick on them. Sometimes it's just to ask them how they're going on their plan. And sometimes it's to help them find a resource that maybe they don't know about. So there will be lots of people like me all across your campus, okay? All you have to do is find the courage to step into some of their offices and say, hey, I need a little help, or this doesn't make sense, or I don't quite know what I'm doing in this arena. If you can do that, we can get working on a plan that works for you. In my office, we call it a success plan. So we want to look at all of the things that are happening, both in terms of like where you're living. Does that make sense to you? Does it help you? Are there people around you who can help? But also academically, how are you attacking your classes? How are you making things work for you? So we want to talk about all of those things to see how they fit into your college experience. And if we can make them work and we can kind of address those things properly, then you can have a really wonderful experience and something that's going to be lasting forever and ever. I still have friends that I have kept from my college days, and I promise you will too. They will be wonderful, wonderful people, and I hope that you get to know them and can interact with them very often. But outside of even people like me, at Case, we have a thing on our campus called the Learning Center, and it is primarily for tutoring. So tutoring comes in a lot of different forms, and I can promise you it is wildly successful in college. Some of our smartest students and some of our brightest students get tutoring, and it's one of the very first things they do in a class. On our campus, we have like one-on-one tutoring. We have small group tutoring. We have like what we call drop-in sessions, where we may have big giant lecture classes, and they will set up a time each week to have tutoring sessions, and you as a student can just go to that session, and maybe you stay for 10 minutes, maybe you stay for 20 minutes, maybe you stay for an hour, and you work on your homework and you get to engage with the material, but it's not in a really structured environment. All of those things are super successful, okay? And we want to find more opportunities for you to engage in academic stuff. And so getting to know your tutors can be a really valuable experience. The other side of it is employment. So if you're looking to pick up a little extra money, go be a tutor. So on our campus, if you have gotten an A in a class, you are eligible to be a tutor for that class. And there's lots of different ways that can look. Sometimes it looks like mentoring one student and helping them out because they're currently in the class. Sometimes it can be supplemental. So you actually go back to the class that you've gotten an A in, you retake notes, and you may help students who are currently in that class while sitting in the class. And you can get paid to do that. And that's a really great thing. So be a part of whatever tutoring situation it looks like on your campus can be a really good thing. For us, it's called the Learning Center. And so it will probably be labeled something, but jumping in with it and being engaged with it really often can be a really good thing for your experience, both in terms of making money, but also in terms of being academically successful. The next piece I want to talk about is the fellowships office. A fellowship is a scholarship opportunity where in most cases you go to another institution somewhere around the globe. and you go get to learn there, and you may get to do research there. But having a fellowship means that a lot of your academic experience will be paid for. And obviously you get a chance to basically study abroad at a wonderful institution. So at Mizzou, we run some of the most world-renowned fellowships across the country. We have had students who are very competitive in a lot of different arenas, but you need help, right? So we have a team of people who are dedicated to making sure that your applications for fellowship are in a really good place and that you're taking care of all of the things that you need to take care of so that your application can be top-notch, right? And it could be in a place where you could be considered for maybe only a handful of opportunities across all college students across the country. So being a part of a fellowships office early can help you make sure that you are addressing some of those things. Every year we send students to Oxford and Cambridge over in Great Britain, and we have a lot of other opportunities to other countries and other institutions across the globe so that students can take some time and study there and use that as a part of their experience. So your campus will have it too. It is most likely called a fellowship office. Go be a part of it. Go jump into that. And doing that early will set you up even if you wanted to do something like study abroad in year 3 or 4 on your campus. So it can be a really good thing if you're looking to learn other places, but it is a huge advantage, okay? So those are the academic pieces that we're going to talk about. It is certainly not limited to just these, but these are the places that I want to introduce you to because your campus will have them. And knowing and utilizing their roles across campus will help you with some really interesting experience. I didn't even have on here that our campus has an international center, which is for students who want to go study abroad. Unfortunately, during the pandemic, we have had to cut back on a lot of that, but someday that will change. And you as a student can have an opportunity to go to many different countries and see many different walks of life just by participating and being active in this arena. One of the students I had in my summer program, I think in her very first year in college, went on 3 different study abroad trips. So they can vary in terms of length of time that you're away. So you can go for a year, which is obviously the longest you can go for. We have some students who go for an entire semester. We have some students who will go either like a 3-month summer thing. We have some students who will go as short as a week. So my office had a program where we sent students to Jamaica and got to learn about some of the cultural history in Jamaica. And that was only a week long. We have some that are a couple weeks long as well. So understand that if you want to study abroad, there are lots of different price points and lots of different time that you can spend away. So understanding that hopefully will take some of the pressure off, and you don't have to think of like, oh, I'm going to have to pay tens of thousands of dollars to go study in another country. That's not true. And hopefully your international center can help build some scholarship opportunities for you so that you can make study abroad really affordable. Okay. So jump in on that as well. So that's all of the academic side that I want to talk about. That's a lot of stuff, and I want you to be active in it. But let's move on to kind of postgraduate stuff. So the point of college is setting up whatever your next career job is going to be, right? So we want to make sure that that is taken care of. On our campus, we always talk about being qualified in 3 years, and then being exemplary in 4, right? So you want to have this basis of knowledge that getting into your career, you are ready and you have the pieces and maybe some of the connections that you need to get into it. But in that 4th year, you're really setting yourself apart. So we want to make sure that we're talking about it in terms of that 4th year is gaining so much experience that you can be super competitive in a job market, and you can have the choice of where you want to work after college. One thing that my office is very concerned about is what's called underemployment. So it's where you would go all the way through college and you would get a degree, and then you would take a job, unfortunately, that does not pay you what that degree is worth. Okay. So if you're going to invest in getting a degree, you need to make sure that someone is willing to pay for that, right? And that you're getting the value that you need once you get into your career. So we have to talk about career services, right? We have to talk about this whole group of people who may be on your campus who are ready to get you into a place where you are networking with people about internships, about career opportunities, about things like potential co-ops, which is a really, really productive situation. So you may spend a whole semester working with a company in a co-op, and then they can be in a place where maybe they hire you afterwards. That's a really, really big thing in the engineering fields, and it has really, really helped students. One of the students who was a regular in our case office, she got a job working with a co-op in St. Louis, and then they offered her, I think it was a $78,000 job even before she graduated, because she was so good in that co-op that they said, we have to have you at our organization, and we're willing to pay for that, right? And so she jumped into a situation that's really good, and she was actually a little above where the average was for her estimated income. Those things can be really, really good for you. So jump in on that. On our campus, we have one big career center, and then some of the academic units have their own career pathways or career centers that are dedicated just to that academic unit. So on your campus, it may be a little different. So whatever it looks like, engage with them, especially once you get in that pathway of graduation, right? Once you get accepted into your program, start working with your career services people so that you can be ready to get a great internship that will then lead to a really, really great job. But on our campus, it's one big one. So it's what's called centralized. And other campuses may have something that's called decentralized, which means their career services may be in a bunch of different areas, and they may be dedicated to a few different things. So search it out, be willing to look for it. But career services is something that you should absolutely engage with. And that can also spill into the financial side of things. I know you heard about financial aid, and I hope you are also hearing about ways to budget your money and make sure that you are taking care of how money works, both in terms of the money that you have coming in from scholarships and potential loans, but also what that looks like going out. So on our campus, we have this thing called the Office for Financial Success, and it helps out with all sorts of stuff. So it helps our students understand and maintain good credit. It helps our students understand the loans that they're taking out. They help with taxes. So that may be something if you have a job. If you haven't filed taxes previously, it may be something that you want to work on. So we have our Office for Financial Success, excuse me, will allow students to file their taxes. So it gives help in a lot of different ways, but it is an area that you should be engaging in so that you're taking care of those foundational pieces after graduation. Okay. And I think finally, I have social network connections, right? So on our campus, we have the Department of Social Justice, and I love them to death. They're what's called counterculture spaces. So it is a space where our students of color can go and make sure that they are in a space that is supportive to them. It is a space that they can understand. And it's a space where they can engage with other students like them. Right. So on our campus, we are fortunate enough to have the Women's Center, the Multicultural Center, the Black Culture Center, a Wellness Resource Center, an LGBTQ Center, and what we call RSVP, which is the Relationship and Sexual Violence Prevention Center. So we have those spaces where students can go to make sure that they're getting support in a lot of different ways, and they can make sure that they are around like-minded people and share good stories and good laughs and really wonderful experiences. I love hanging out in their spaces. I've been very welcomed in all of them, and so I'm very thankful that our campus has done a very good job of providing those to students. Another place that I want to remind you of, your campus will have a rec center. On our campus at Mizzou, working for the rec center is quite possibly the most difficult job that you can find on campus. It's so competitive to work there, but that's because it's worth it. So on our campus, you can do things like teach a class. So we have students who get trained and they will teach yoga classes, they will teach Zumba classes, they will teach dance classes. I think we have students who teach boxing classes as well. So you can get trained to do that and you get paid to be active in your rec center, and is a great place to know other students. Our rec center even provides a scholarship if you are one of their better employees. So it can be a really, really beneficial place for your experience. You can also just go to your rec center and spend time there, get to know people around, and have physical fitness as a part of your experience, which is a really good thing. One of my buddies actually was a referee. So during his college days, he got trained to be a referee through the rec center. He then took that and was able to be an umpire for Little League baseball games around town. And that's how he made some pocket money. And so it could be a really great situation for things like that too. So if you're just looking for odds and ends, rec center can be a really great place to be. So check it out. I also want to make sure that we are addressing your res hall staff. So they will absolutely positively be there on your side. I think res hall staff are such a wonderful group of people. On our campus, students will have someone who is about their age, who is working on their floor that they can engage with. And so that will be a student who is currently taking classes, someone that they can get to know very quickly. And sometimes our residence halls are broken down by academic units or majors. And so the person who is on staff there may actually be in your major as well. And so you can go to them and say, hey, I'm taking this class, it doesn't make sense. Can you help me out? Or as you're registering for classes for next semester, you can say, hey, I'm looking at taking this class and I don't quite know about this instructor or this instructor. Who would you recommend, or have you taken one or the other? So those can be a really great like frontline resource for you in your building. Generally speaking, they will be located on your floor. On our campus, we also have hall coordinators, which would be a professional staff member who lives in your building or around your building. They generally have apartments in the building, so you can go to them and say, hey, like, this is a problem that I'm facing and I don't quite know how to handle it. How can the campus support me? How can our institution support me to make sure that we are having, good conversations and everything is going right? So those are people who will be around you as you move into the university and as you kind of experience college, who you can like ask questions of very immediately. And they are people who are there to help you at any given moment. So I always think that it's great to give them a shout out. They also employ students. So on our campus, students can work for Res Life and they can have their housing paid for. And that is a really, really beneficial thing for all of our students. And so it's a really wonderful thing to have. And I always encourage our students to look into it because it's a way that you can cut costs. It's a way that you can get to know other students who are willing to engage in the university and be a part of what's happening and start shaping the experiences of people down the road. And that's a really good thing. So I want you to be invested in your experience. That's number one. And if you can be invested, there are lots and lots of different ways to experience college and understand and really give back to your community that will help create a wonderful situation for you. So as long as you're in a place where you can buy into what you have going on and you want to invest in your future, then college can be a really wonderful thing. So I think it can be a great opportunity for anybody and everyone, regardless of where they're coming from in terms of their high school experience. So I think that's all that I have. Does anybody have any questions that I can answer? Anything that I can help out with? I will take that as a no. So thank you to everyone for letting me participate. Again, my name is Justin. I work in the Center for Academic Success and Excellence, or CASE, at Mizzou. So come see me. I promise that I will be allowed to have some appointments. I promise that I can have some students in my office in the fall and beyond. So we would love to see you, and we would love to find ways to help you kind of manage your college experience. So don't be afraid to give me a shout. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much, Justin. That was perfect. So as he mentioned, those were some Mizzou highlights, but also he highlighted some things that should be taking place on your campus as well. So if you do have any questions about how that might translate to your campus, let us know. But pretty much all that he said, you should find also on your campus. Don't want to show too much bias, but Mizzou's pretty awesome. But like I said, a lot of those resources should also exist on your campus. And if you need help locating them, we are happy to do that. Before we go, I will just show you guys the flyer for next week's webinar, which I'm pretty excited about. We're going to do Adulting 101. So this one will be a little bit less college specific, but I remember when I was in college, there are some things that I maybe didn't know that you have to start doing that aren't necessarily college related. So as Justin mentioned, like taxes, or maybe you've never had a job before, finding a job, looking over a bill. So I know we talked about financial aid, but your fall bill will probably be coming in the next week or two. So looking at a bill, if you've never looked at a bill before. So we're going to cover a lot of that. If you guys have any questions or topics you want me to cover, you can let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to hop off. I'll be getting ready for virtual advising in about an hour. So if you guys need help, you can hop on there. And if not, I hope to see you next week. Thank you, Justin, for presenting. I really appreciate it and hope everyone has a great week.
Of course. Thanks, Brittany.